Is Donald Trump really a scammer? We're looking at recent court rulings, crypto scandals, and public controversies, with up-to-date facts and sources. Civil fraud case in New York. It's late 2023, and a New York judge drops a bombshell. He finds that Trump and his businesses knowingly inflated their property values to cheat banks and tax officials. The court orders them to pay a massive $364 million in disgorgement, basically, profits made from the deception. Fast forward to mid-February 2024, Judge Engoron adds interest and extra penalties, bringing the total to over $450 million, slapping a fine of more than $354 million and slamming them with interest. On top of the cash hit, Trump and his sons were barred from leading any New York corporation for years, and the Trump Organization was placed under strict court control. Trump fights back. He appealed. In March 2024, the appeals court allows him to post a bond of $175 million to delay enforcement while the appeal goes through, an enormous 62% decrease from the nearly $500 million initially imposed. Legal sources pointed out it's extremely rare. One expert even compared it to giving a giant rich kid a massive IOU. It makes you wonder, could the full judgment eventually shrink too? Memecoin and crypto venture. In mid-January 2025, just before Inauguration Day, Donald Trump unveiled the Trump Memecoin on the Solana blockchain. Within hours, it surged to a $5 billion valuation, fueled by a rush of buyers eager to get on board. At one point, its total value soared past $27 billion, ranking it among the top 20 cryptocurrencies globally. To put that in perspective, dogs and cartoon memes aren't the only ones making headlines. This one did it with a splash worthy of its founder. Here's a red flag. 80% of the token supply stayed in the hands of two Trump-affiliated companies, CIC Digital LLC and Fight LLC. While the public got 200 million tokens, the Trump family still held powerful control behind the scenes. By April, those insiders walked away with $349 million in fees, while regular traders got stuck in a dizzying market roller coaster. Crypto experts wasted no time sounding alarms. They pointed out that with insiders holding 80% of tokens, the setup looked dangerously close to a rug pull, where early investors cash out, the price crashes, and everyone else loses out. On April 17, a blockchain tracking group reported insiders quietly withdrew $4.6 million in liquidity just before a major token unlock, a move that only deepened concerns. Marketplace and ethics fallout? Let's get real. This wasn't just about volatility. The Senate's Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations launched a probe into possible insider trading, foreign money influence, and emoluments law breaches, billion-dollar pump and dumps raise eyebrows, and potential abuse of presidential power. Critics even compared a private dinner for top token holders to selling access for influence, a new kind of presidential power. Imagine your favorite TV show's final episode. Everyone you disliked suddenly gets a pass. That's kind of what happened in Washington. Since January 2025, President Trump has wiped out over $1 billion in debts owed by wealthy people convicted of federal crimes. Yes, that's billion with a B. It means these individuals weren't just forgiven prison. They were forgiven their financial obligations too. Take Devon Archer, for example. He was convicted in 2018 for a securities fraud scheme involving a Native American tribe and ordered to pay $43 million in restitution. Then in March 2025, Trump issued a full pardon. That means Archer not only walked free, but the massive debt vanished too. Talk about a clean slate or a disappearing act. Issuing pardons is totally within the president's rights. But when those pardoned are wealthy or politically linked, and their debts lifted, that raises eyebrows. Former DOJ attorney Liz Oyer even warned this is unprecedented in scope and financial impact, saying, "We're talking over $1 billion wiped out. It's one thing to forgive. It's another to erase financial accountability for public harm." And Archer isn't the only story. Trump's 2025 clemency list includes over 1,500 people tied to the January 6 events. Not simply political prisoners, but also white-collar criminals like Trevor Milton from Nikola and executives from BitMEX, who also walked away without repaying fines or restitution. Critics say it creates a two-tier system. Petty offenders serve time, rich ones get full pardons. So here's the story. Trump isn't just freeing people. He's erasing their financial consequences. A man owes $43 million. Gone. White-collar criminals owe hundreds of millions. Gone. $1 billion plus wiped clean. Giving pardons isn't illegal, but if it helps the rich dodge massive debts, is it justice or abuse? Political spending and Doge Oversight. When President Trump came into office in January 2025, he backed a bold promise: eliminate $9.4 billion from waste, fraud, and abuse in federal programs, done through a new task force called the Department of Government Efficiency. Doge. It was pitched as a superhero move to clean up Washington's budget mess. Named Doge to evoke speed and meme-like momentum. Sounds great, until you look closer. Inside, whistleblowers and watchdogs soon sounded alarms. The Washington Post reported that Doge's cost-cutting mission had actually slowed down 19 federal agencies, with demands for extra paperwork and political oversight, causing key operations like Social Security to stall. Even Elon Musk's former team is said to be concerned they might get Doge'd out, lose their jobs too, after Musk left the project earlier this year. Conflicts of interest. The idea of watchdogs needing oversight irony isn't romantic. Some of Trump's chosen inspectors came with conflict of interest baggage, like a former lawmaker under payroll scandal nomination. Moreover, watchdog group POGO pointed out that some Doge staff still worked for private companies, adding fuel to concern they might favor their own interests, blurring the lines between public and private gain. Despite the blowback, Doge received a major win in June 2025 when the Supreme Court allowed it to access Social Security Administration data, reversing a previous restriction from a lower court on privacy grounds. Yet that victory deepened concerns over what data was being accessed, and why such powerhouse information shouldn't be held in tech-enabled political boots. Here's the real question. Cutting waste is admirable if the watchdog isn't compromised. But when bureaucratic mess grows, oversight is dodgy, and conflicts abound. Can you trust the tool built to protect your money? Let me know. Would you support Doge if it worked without conflicts, or is oversight too risky to trust? Supreme Court and presidential immunity. On June 11, 2025, a federal appeals court in New York City heard powerful arguments. Trump's legal team from big firms Sullivan and Cromwell urged judges to move his 34 felony hush money appeal from state to federal court, claiming presidential immunity should apply. They leaned on the Supreme Court's landmark 2024 decision that shields presidents for official actions. Their case: Trump's actions, like tweets and charge decisions, were official enough to deserve federal protection. Prosecutors didn't agree. They called it personal conduct, tied to hush money payments before he became president, meaning immunity didn't apply. They also challenged the motion for being late. As the judges weighed both sides, no ruling was handed down yet, but one thing was clear. Trump had a possible path to wiping out his criminal conviction if immunity applies. At the same time, the Supreme Court quietly backed Trump's push to shield his new Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, from Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, scrutiny. They paused a lower court order forcing Doge to reveal internal files and delay the deposition of its administrator. The court also cleared the way for Doge to access Social Security data on millions of Americans, ignoring major privacy concerns flagged by liberal justices. Courts are now playing referee between powerful presidential immunity, government efficiency, and transparency. On one side, Trump is arguing his criminal charges should vanish under immunity. On the other, Doge is being treated like a presidential advisor, so no public documents and full access to citizen data. With both battles spinning up front this week, it's not just politics, it's a test of how far presidential power stretches, and how much visibility we the public get into those powers. Are these legal walls protecting democracy or veiling abuse of power? Courts may be blunting investigations, but are they doing it fairly or unfairly? Public and market reactions. Picture the moment. June 5, 2025. Elon Musk and Donald Trump clash on social media. Trump attacks Musk's mega tax and spending bill. Musk retaliates with impeachment talk and Epstein accusations. Within hours, Tesla stock plunges over 14%, wiping approximately $150 billion in market value in a single trading day. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire market cap of companies like Starbucks or Disney vaporizing in hours. Investors reacted in panic, but the market nearly rebounded afterward, showing the sheer grip these powerful figures have over Wall Street. This wasn't just a Wall Street ripple. It sent shockwaves internationally. Some analysts reported that global investors began looking for stability outside the U.S. at home. Analysts warned Tesla was at risk, politically homeless after the feud, potentially losing federal subsidies, and facing tighter regulation. One shockwave, billions walked out, and suddenly the future of EV incentives and autonomous tech looked uncertain. Tweets that move markets. Now, swap the stock ticker for headlines. Trump's claims that protests are funded from abroad, particularly the Los Angeles immigration protests, were thoroughly debunked by multiple fact-checkers, but the damage was done. The claims had already gone viral on social platforms, amplifying fear and distrust before corrections had a chance. It all boils down to this. He tweets, it moves markets. He makes claims, it keeps spreading. It's one thing for leaders to speak. It's another when billions and public trust are on the line. Conclusion. So, is he a scammer? When you step back and look at everything, the fraud rulings, criminal convictions, questionable crypto schemes, and ethically murky pardons, it paints a picture that's hard to ignore. Multiple courts have said outright that Trump's business practices involve fraud. His 2024 criminal conviction alone included 34 felony counts for falsifying business records. That's not a rumor. It's on paper, signed and sentenced. And then there's the crypto game. Launching a meme token that his own company owned 80% of. That's not illegal, but it's not what you'd call transparent either. Experts called it risky. Some even use the phrase rug pull. Add in those billion-dollar pardons for white-collar offenders and a federal oversight body packed with ethically challenged allies. Sure, he's playing the system, but is he bending it or breaking it? Now the courts and agencies are pushing back slowly, but some critics say those efforts may be too little, too late. Tell me, do these patterns feel like political strategy or outright scams? Drop your thoughts below. Thanks for watching.